interesting. Were you surprised at all of the stories that have been coming out on some of the blogs lately about the government main core program and also the U.S. companies that are experimenting, if you will, in China on surveillance technology?
Yeah, not at all. I think that sort of command and control systems are difficult to implement. They take a lot of iterations to get to the point where you can figure out how to spin them so that people will accept them in their lives. And so people who want to roll out command and control like authoritarian systems need test beds. They need beta testers. And so the beta testers for totalitarian technology are people who don't get to answer back. So it's the people like mental patients, air travelers, prisoners, students, poor people, immigrants, people who are on social assistance, anyone who just doesn't get a say. Those people are the best people to start that stuff out on. So totally unsurprised to hear that the next phase of the war on abstract nouns is being fought in China, right? That companies like Cisco are producing internal documents that say surveillance and control in China are a major market opportunity that they need to seize. And they're using technologies that they developed for the DHS, for the war on terror, to invent even more spectacular control systems in China. And they'll get it right there, and then they'll bring it back here. It's globalism. Yeah.
It seems that the UK and America kind of have this parallel growth of surveillance. I was wondering, over the past 10 years, why has the UK just jumped so fast? I mean, the US has stayed pretty slow.
Well, it's tough. I have my theories. I think that not being British and living in the UK has some advantages and some disadvantages. The advantage is that you're not a tree, so you might be able to see the forest. The disadvantage is that you're not kind of inside the system, so there's some stuff that you miss. But I think that in general, Britons and people in the Commonwealth, including Canadians, have a belief that government is staffed by people of goodwill and a good deal of forethought, and are willing to devolve a lot of power. They don't see government as an adversarial relationship with the populace, and I think that that's something that's very strongly American. And and in a different way Russian or other other systems where there's a strong mistrust of government. But it's Americans don't necessarily mistrust their government, but it's a truism built into the American political system that governments will, given half a chance, turn corrupt and septic and try to take away your rights. And so the balance of powers is established to try and stop the inevitable circumstance of government overreach. And so, for example, it's considered bad form in America, although it happens, to pass a law that everyone is probably guilty of on the grounds that the police will just use it to bust the people who they know to be guilty, right? Whereas in Britain, there's a lot of those. I actually have a friend who's a community police officer in Britain who explained to me that, of course, if you're walking down the street, you're probably in violation of some law or another that allows them to take your ID and check you out and find out more about you. And, by the same token, the British police have long had a policy of, when they detain someone, even if they don't arrest them or charge them, to take their DNA and put it on file forever, right? So you enter the criminal justice system even if you literally have done nothing wrong, right? Even if you've just ended up somehow through a bad set of circumstances. And that DNA is never removed from the database, So I think that there is something in that in that willingness to trust government that has been exploited by people who aren't trustworthy. My friend J.D. Boyle, who's Scots, he likes to say that they tried Stalinism in the wrong country, because if they tried Stalinism in Britain rather than kind of monkey wrenching it and sullenly refusing to go along, it kind of took over your life, the Brits would have very efficiently enacted it and then just made sarcastic remarks all the time. Right? It just would have been passing really sarky remarks back and forth up the queue for bread.